Hello and welcome to Impro at Cooking number 13, where we're baking, which, I mean, it's a style of cooking, right? Whatever, I'm not gonna change the name. Today we'll be making some simple yet delicious Swedish Style Cinnamon Buns, in celebration of the Swedish National Cinnamon Bun Day, which is actually a thing. It's the 4th of October though, so this video is a bit late, but whatever. It's not like you need an excuse to make cinnamon buns. First of all, make your maid drive you to the store so you can pick up supplies.
Fuck you. I don't know where I'm going.
What are we doing?
We're driving to the store.
Why?
Because it's Cinnamon Bun Day here in Sweden. So we have to buy supplies to make cinnamon buns to have with pickup.
Look at this fancy shit. We got store footage. How nice is that? And look at the size of this fucking cinnamon bun. Just look at it. It's fucking massive. The ones we're making won't be quite that big. So, these are the things you'll need. Plus eggs, which I didn't put in the picture. Instead of rattling off the whole list, let's just talk about them when they come up in the video. Start by measuring out 2.5 deciliters of milk into a microwave-safe container some kind. Then transfer said container into microwave. We'll be adding our yeast directly into this milk, so you want to make sure it's not too hot or the yeast will just die off. At the same time, you don't want it to be too cold or the yeast won't activate. Roughly 40 degrees Celsius is the right temperature. Basically warm. You put your finger in, and if it's cold, then you microwave it some more. Still cold. If it's hot and you're burning yourself, then you need to let it cool down. It's supposed to just be warm. It is now the same temperature as my finger. It's lukewarm. How it should be. So, it's time to add our yeast into the lukewarm milk. We're only gonna use half a thing of yeast, and since it has 4 corners, let me share a pro tip. Just cut it corner to corner, and you'll get exactly half. There's no need to guess. We're gonna crumble that into the milk, and then just stir until it's all dissolved. It's possible that the yeast you're used to doesn't quite look like my type of yeast. It might come in little packages and be a dry powder kind of stuff. You can use that. Just do whatever you normally do when you bake bread with it to activate it, and just continue from there. Next up, we're adding our butter. You can melt it if you want, but it's kind of a wasted step since the milk is warm. It's gonna melt anyway. And then we're adding sugar, a pinch of salt, cardamom, which is a spice that's absolutely mandatory for Swedish style cinnamon buns. I'm sure you can find it if you look hard enough. And finally, some vanilla sugar.
These are some good measurements.
But measurements are really boring. Can't we just wing it? Alright, I know they're important for baking, but for this kind of flavor stuff, it's not that important. Anyway, there will be actually specified amounts in the description if you actually want to try making this recipe and, you care about measurements. So after we've combined all of the flavor agents with the milky yeast, we're gonna add flour to a bowl. We're starting with just 2 deciliters of flour, then mixing in some of the liquid, and then just sort of working it together. Then we'll add more flour, more of the liquid, more flour, more liquid, until all of the flour has been added. It just makes it easier to do it in smaller batches, at least when you don't have a machine to help you when you're doing it by hand. Once you've added most of the flour, it's time to work in our secret ingredient, Kesella. It's sort of like this yogurty, creme fraiche substance. In a pinch, you can use creme fraiche. Just make sure it's actually the type you can cook with. Anyway, this will flavor the buns very slightly, but primarily it's just gonna make the buns a lot more moist. The dough is getting too thick to work with the spatula, so you're just gonna have to switch over to your good old trusty hands and, just give that dough a good old rub. Yeah, boy. As you're working the dough, you might need to add a bit more flour, just in case it's too sticky. Don't add too much though, or you're gonna make the buns dry. After working the dough for some 5 to 10 minutes, you're gonna end up with something like this. Now it's time to let the dough rest and rise with the yeast inside of it working its magic. So, form it into a ball and gently place it into its bowl. Then we'll cover the dough with a blanket, place it somewhere warm and let it rest for about an hour. It should roughly double in size.
Oh my gosh.
It's grown. Amazing. Once the hour is up and your dough has doubled in size, it's time to preheat the oven at 225 Celsius.
So now what do you need to do?
You need to knead it. This is the part where you wish you had one of them baking machines that could knead it for you. You're gonna be having to do this for like 10 to 15 minutes to build up those strands of gluten. And it's boring. And your hands are gonna start hurting after a while. So, let someone else do it for you. While the maid is kneading the dough, let's create our fillings. You'll need a big glob of butter, you'll add honey, a shitload of cinnamon, they are cinnamon buns after all, some good old plain sugar, a bit more of the Kesella, and some cardamom. And then you just mix the living shit out of it. In the meantime, the dough has been kneaded for the needed amount of time, so it's time to move on to the next needed step, which is to karate chop the dough in twain. Or don't. If you're not doing two different kinds of cinnamon buns like we are, you can just keep it as a whole thing. To make the pretty nice looking cinnamon buns, you just take your dough and you roll it out across a gently floured surface. And once it's thin enough, you're just gonna spread your goop all over that shit. I should stop saying the word shit in reference to this goop, because it does look kinda gross. But it'll look fine once it's cooked, and it tastes good, so... We're gonna need some of these here paper cups to hold our cinnamon buns. I suppose you can use any kind of muffin wrapper, whatever you can find. Alright, with all of that done, you are going to cut the little strips of this flattened out dough, and then roll them together. It's easier if you're two. And also easier if you use a fucking dough scraper rather than a dull knife like this. But I don't have one, so whatever, fuck it. Careful you don't scratch your table if you're doing it on a table like we were. I didn't scratch mine, I'm just saying it might happen, so be careful, alright? Alright? I ain't taking no responsibility for no scratch tables. Anyway, you can roll them up into nice little cinnamon bun rolls. But don't you dare call them cinnamon rolls, they're cinnamon buns. Here's a different version of this you can do if you don't feel like doing all of that rolling and shit. This is a lot lazier, a lot easier. You just make a little divot in the dough, fill it with the goop, and fold it over. And watch out for leaks.
Get a load of that leek.
Yummy. Transfer the whole thing over to a baking sheet lined tray, and cut some holes at strategic locations in order to give it that exquisite appearance. This is really ugly.
Very ugly.
It's killing me. And make sure to clean up any leaks, because that looks bad. Next up, we're gonna have to make sure that these babies get a nice sheen in the oven and get that nice browned surface. So we're gonna crack an egg, just beat it with a fork, and brush it over our cinnamon buns. This egg is also going to help the pearl sugar stick to the cinnamon buns. Now, pearl sugar, or nib sugar, is mostly used in Scandinavia as far as I know. You might be able to find it. The thing about it is that it doesn't actually melt at oven temperatures, so it's gonna come out nice and shiny on top of the buns. You might be able to replace it with some kind of sugary glazing, if you can't find it. You can't replace it with regular sugar though, that's just gonna melt. That won't work. And then it's time to move our babies into the oven. They're gonna be in there for 5 to 10 minutes depending on how thick you make them. You can quite easily burn these, so be careful not to keep them in there for too long or they're gonna be dry and boring. But yeah, 5 to 10 minutes, just keep an eye on it. And I'm just gonna shut up now and let you guys watch the most beautiful time-lapse footage. Damn, that shot is sweet! Impro at Cooking with Dopefish's production values have never been this high before. I like that shot. Anyway, our buns are out of the oven and ready to be consumed. There's nothing left to do, other than to cut the big one into smaller pieces, but you can do that as you serve them. Cinnamon buns are best fresh, hot, out of the oven, so don't miss your opportunity to grab a couple straight away. You can also freeze them and save them for when you have guests over or whatever. Yeah, that's it for this episode of Impro at Cooking. Again, you can check the description if you actually want the amounts for all of the ingredients and so on. I guess I'll put a little recipe in there, because I haven't been the most instructional in this episode, but whatever. Hopefully you've learned something. As per usual, if you've enjoyed this, or if you haven't, leave a comment telling me why or how. If you saw anything I could improve, I'd love to hear it. If you have suggestions for other recipes, you know, all that usual sort of stuff, put it below. I love to read the comments on these videos. It's really fun. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching and I will see you guys next time.